Triathlon can be a rather self-centered sport, and at times triathletes can be labeled as narcissistic jerks, but I really think that's the exception and not the rule. So for this week's video, I'm bringing you a story from a friend of mine, Shawn Mcleish, and his race at Ironman Arizona in 2018, when the selfless act of another athlete, Anthony Romania, helped him get to the finish line.
So this was my fourth Ironman attempt. I spent 6 months training for it, hundreds of hours, thousands of dollars spent. I also went through some adversity with a torn meniscus in my knee, having knee surgery 8 weeks before the race. So it was quite difficult leading up to the race, but I was excited and nervous to finish my fourth Ironman. I was on the bike. I was on my first lap of 3 60-kilometer loops, and I finished my first lap, starting my second lap, when I noticed that my front tire was flat. So I stopped at the number 1 aid station, tried to pump up my tire, and unfortunately the pump didn't work, so I had to use the one CO2 cartridge that I had with me to pump up the tire. Pumped it up, was on my way. I went about another 5 or 10 kilometers down the road, and now my tire is completely flat, and I'm pretty much dead at the side of the road. My race is now over, and after 6 months of training, hundreds of hours, and thousands of dollars being spent, it was so disappointing to have my race finished this way at about the 70-kilometer mark. As I was standing at the side of the road for about 15 minutes, this gentleman stopped, actually 2 gentlemen stopped, but the one guy, Anthony Romania, stopped and said to me that he's having a difficult day. He's going to finish his race today after this lap. He insisted I take his front race tire, which I was completely floored by. I'm like, that's such a selfless act, such an amazing sign of sportsmanship for him to say, take my tire. So I said, are you sure you want to do this, sir? I don't even know who you are. He's like, absolutely. He's like, you know what? You continue your race, take my tire, I'll take your tire, I'll limp back to home base and you can continue on with your race. So he changed tires, I thanked him, I was on my way. I went down the road for about another 15, 20 kilometers, and unfortunately I get a flat tire in the back. So now I have my third flat tire essentially, and I'm pretty much stuck at the side of the road, cutting off my tire, trying to rip off the tubular tire, which I've never changed before, FYI. And as I'm trying to put on the new tire that I have, I notice that it will not fit on the rim. And as I'm trying to mess around and get my tire on my bike, I hear this person call out to me. He said, hey, what's going on? I look back, it's the same guy. It's Anthony Romania, helping me out again. I told him I had another flat tire. He asked if I had a tubular tire. I said yes. He said, is it pre-stretched? I said, I don't think so. I've never changed one before. To which he said, well, I have a tubular tire. Let me help you change it. So he stops again, helps me change my flat tire, gets me on my way yet again. So twice in the race I was done. 2 times this guy comes and helps save my race. I finished the bike. I made it to the run, I made it to the finish line, so I made my goal. Didn't make my time, but it was a grind for me that day, but it was a difficult day, but thanks to Anthony, he completely saved my race, and I was just so indebted to him. Such a selfless act, and such an amazing guy. Just speaks volumes the type of character this guy is. We went to meet after the race to exchange tires. I got to my bike, and he'd already exchanged a tire, so I never even got his name. I went onto Facebook, and I put a post out about him, and I found out who he was. And I'm totally indebted to him, and I just want everyone to know what he did to me, or did for me, and I really appreciate everything he did to save my race that day.
Oh, this you crazy mother!